Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. Hope everybody's happy and having a good day. I'm certainly having a good day. Most of my days are pretty good. It's kind of cool. So we're going to talk about today's anti-aging. I know everybody worries about that. If you're over 30, I guess, or maybe over 40, you might start to worry about that. But, you know, when you're young, you're bulletproof. And I always said that's why we draft 18-year-olds, because they're bulletproof. And what happens is when you're young, your brain develops at different stages. And there's a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex helps you understand consequences, so you don't do stupid things. Now that forms when you're around 25. So before 25, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that lets you understand risk, it just isn't formed properly. And that's why when you're young, you do crazy, stupid things, because you're not capable of understanding the risk-reward. So that becomes a big problem because young people do stupid things. And I was young once, and you were young once, and unless you are young, I know we have a lot of teenagers listening to the show. So trust me, guys, you will develop something called the prefrontal cortex, and you will start to look back on what you're doing now and going, what was I thinking? Well, you weren't thinking properly because the prefrontal cortex wasn't formed. So as we get older, we start to realize what's going on in our lives, and we will age, and it does happen. And I don't know, depending how old you are, you might look at some people you knew from high school, and you look at their pictures, and maybe you know them, and you go, man, time has not been their friend. And you see it sometimes with celebrities or rock stars. Some of them age really well, and some are like, woof, man, what happened? So there are certain things you can do to actually help slow down the aging process. And I was talking to Ahmad, my producer, before the show, and he said, don't forget to talk about sun and how the sun ages you. And I said, yeah, I got to cover that too. I didn't cover it in I make little notes before the show. But I want to talk about that. We can talk about wine. Ahmad, remind me to talk about wine and resveratrol, okay? Make yourself a note on that. Resveratrol, okay. That's what I got Ahmad here for. Best producer in radio and the best looking producer in radio. I don't care what Eric von Hessler says. So I know this show's heard around the world. You may not know who Eric von Hessler is, but he's one of my coworkers, and he always says he's got the best looking producer in the world. I beg to differ. And I think we should have a SmackDown one day. I think the two of you. What do you think, Ahmad? You and Jared?
I think it needs to happen.
I think right here. We do it on the radio, and nobody will know if it really happened. Just like, ow, ow,
Just
ow.
sound effects.
Yeah, that's all. We can get away with it. Talk to Eric about that. So we're talking about anti-aging and what you can do. And what's cool about the anti-aging, as is with most health issues, is it's usually what you have to not do. It's a lot of it is passive, not active. How easy can I make it for you? I want to keep it easy. Now, we'll talk about exercise too if we have time, but exercise, you can work out too much, by the way. I knew this gal and very pretty girl, and she would work out like a fiend. Like she'd run 20 miles and then do yoga classes, and it was on and on and on. And what happens is your body produces a lot of free radicals. And the free radicals are like Pac-Man. They eat through things. And they basically ate away at her skin, and she got really aged really fast. So you can have too much of a good thing, too. But what health conditions, what things as we get older, what do you think could be linked to nutrition and what you eat? Well, how about heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, your bones, your teeth, obesity, Alzheimer's, diabetes, high blood pressure, allergies, digestive disorders, fatigue, mental illness, depression, mood swings, mental alertness, sleep disorders, skin conditions, wrinkles, pimples, blackheads, dry skin, stress. That's just a few of them. So as we get older, these things can get worse, and you have control, which is so cool, over how they affect you. So wouldn't that be nice if you could actually slow down the aging process? And I was just telling Ahmad this a couple of days ago. I was down in an area of Atlanta called the Fourth Ward, and there was a little Italian dessert shop. And I walked in because growing up Italian, I just like to smell things. And I walk in, and there's a gal sitting there, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking, that looks just like Jerry. But I haven't seen Jerry in about 25 years, so that couldn't be her because she would have aged in 25 years. So it's like the same person I knew 25 years ago. It was her. And she came up, and we hugged, and introduced me to her husband. They owned the shop, and it was so wonderful. And she said, well, you haven't aged. And I said, you haven't aged. So she said, you taught me 25 years ago. She said, you have no idea what an impact having that job with you had on my life. And obviously it worked. So we can do things to fight the aging process. Now, everybody has a choice. You have to decide what you eat. You have to decide what you do. You have to decide the people you hang around with. And all you have to do, this is so easy, is make better choices. And it's not going to cost you any more money. In fact, you'll save a ton of money. You'll feel better. You'll live longer. You'll be happier. And the years that you're adding to your life are going to be quality years. So a couple of things I want to start with. If you're just joining us, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. I know this show goes all over the world, so a lot of people tune in every day. I'm board certified in chiropractic. I'm board certified in orthopedics. I'm board certified in pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. This show, as far as I know, is the largest health and wellness radio broadcast in the country, probably the world. And I've been in practice for 33 years. And I've missed a half a day of work in 33 years because I hit my head and the staff sent me home. So it's not hard to stay healthy and it's not hard to stay young. But let's think, before we get into the food, actually, what to do, what not to do when it comes to food, I want you to think about some habits you need to consider changing. How about food as a reward? How many people use food as a reward? Raise your hands. A lot of you. I grew up in an Italian family, half Italian, half German. And if you were good, you ate. If you got good grades, you ate. If you had a graduation, a party, a birthday, a wedding, ate. But then, looking back, when else did you eat? When things were sad, if you were at a funeral, if things weren't going well, if you were emotionally depressed. We're going to cover that too. So be careful about food as a reward. You know, I've been watching what I eat for a week, so one donut isn't going to make a difference. One ice cream sundae isn't going to make a difference. It will. This is a lifestyle we're talking about now, an anti-aging lifestyle. And the cool part is you can reverse a lot of the damage that you've even done already. How about food as comfort? I'm sad, so eating whatever makes me feel good. What a day I've had. Boy, do I need a glass of wine. How many people say that? Raise your hands. A lot of you. And so, got to go to break. So much to cover here, folks. Folks, I'm going to open up the phone lines. The number is 844-44-Dr.Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. My website is drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hundreds of hours of podcasts, articles that I've written. If you have questions, you can send them to me through the website. But if you want to call, you can call right now, 844-44-Dr.Joe. That number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air, so you could remember it to call me if you need me for anything, make an appointment or questions. 844-44-Dr.Joe. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Tell your friends about the show. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad you could spend a little time with me today. We're talking about anti-aging today, something that's on a lot of people's minds pretty much every day. And how do you do it? How do you stay young? And it's not hard, it's easy, because what we're talking about, anti-aging, encompasses everything. It encompasses health and wellness and disease processes and all sorts of fun stuff. Now, there are some things that you may not have control over. For example, if you're in a car accident. I was hit by a car when I was 10 years old, and I had a permanent neck injury. So I have to deal with that. It is what it is. But luckily, through doing a good lifestyle, chiropractic care, I've maintained a lot of my health, where had I not done all these things, I don't know where I'd be. I'm sure I would have had surgery several times by now and probably may not have worked, may have worked, I don't know. And you can maintain these things. It's not hard, it's easy. So we're talking about some habits you want to change first. And if you're on hold, keep holding, folks. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. I'm going to get to you. Got to cover my notes. My boss, Pete, always tells me, he says, I want more Dr. Joe when a Dr. Joe show is on. I said, yes, Pete, I'm on it, man. All right, food is comfort. We talked about that. I'm sad, so it makes me feel good. And before we went to the break, alcohol. Alcohol really ages you, folks. Alcohol is a sugar. When sugar gets into the liver, it breaks down to fructose into sugar. Any fructose has to be converted into glucose in order to be used. In the process, you create something called uric acid. And acids like uric acid get into the joints and get into the tissue and eat away at them and can cause a lot of inflammation. Uric acid prevents the body from producing something called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a wonder supplement. It opens up your blood vessels. And when blood vessels open up, they carry oxygen, so they bring nutrients to areas of the body and flush out waste products. And as we get older, our natural ability to produce nitric oxide decreases. And that's one of the reasons that people can have high blood pressure. They're not producing enough nitric oxide in the cells of the blood vessels, and so the blood vessels aren't expanding. So what can we do about that? Well, we can cut out the fructose, high fructose corn syrup, alcohol. You ever notice alcohol? It's an astringent. What that means, it tightens up your skin, right? You ever put alcohol on something, it tightens up the skin? Well, what happens when you're drinking it constantly? It causes the cells to tighten up, but it can actually stretch and create stretch marks, It can tear up the connective tissue and cause some real serious problems. And it dehydrates you. One of the big secrets of staying young is staying hydrated. So you have that glass of wine to relax. It doesn't really relax you. It does the exact opposite. It puts more stress, chemical stress on your body, neurological stress on the body. Again, I'm a chiropractor. My job is make sure your nervous system is working. And if you're putting neurological stress on your body from a chemical standpoint, that's not good. And you have control over that too, because no one's forcing you to put the alcohol into your system. So if you have to relax, you can do things like valerian root. That works real well. If you have circulatory issues, I have a product I created not long ago called Dr. Joe's Nitric Oxide Support. And it's wonderful. It opens up your blood vessels. It can help lower blood pressure. It's not going to treat the blood pressure, but some of the side effects could be the blood pressure drops. Increases circulation to every part of your body. So you want good circulation to your skin so you look young, and to your eyes so you can see, and to your arms and legs. How about your happy organs? Your reproductive organs. Keep it clean. It's a family show. A lot of times as folks get older, their libido drops off. And so that a lot of that could be due to circulatory issues. So what do? Increase the circulation. Now, taking nitric oxide will open up blood vessels, but you have to do the other things too, so that it's not just treating the symptom, you're treating the cause. And that's always my goal, is get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. As a chiropractor, as a nutritionist, as your doctor, hopefully I am going to be your doctor someday, we want to get to the cause of your problems. All right, we're going to take some calls. 844-44-Dr.Joe. Larry, how can we make your day better?
Yes, Dr. Joe, I'd like to find out how could I treat gallbladder?
Okay, that's a broad question. What's wrong with the gallbladder?
One day I woke up with pain and just went off. It's like, oh, my goodness. I had a test done, and it came back and said that there was an issue with my gallbladder. I may have to have it removed.
Okay, so here's the thing with gallbladders. You got to be careful. You got to know what the issue is, because sometimes the gallbladder is necrotic. What that means is it's lost its blood supply and it's rotting, basically. Cases like that, absolutely surgery, no doubt. Other cases, if it's just some small gallstones or if just some inflammation, changing the diet usually does wonders. And so there's certain supplements I would recommend. We have them at our office called Livton. Livton helps clean out the liver and gallbladder. There's some other ones we can give you too. Colacol, it's called. Colacol is very good to help with the gallbladder. But if you have a report on it, did you have a report from the study that they did, or they just told you?
No, I don't have it with me now.
What I'd recommend you do, Larry, is get that report and find out what the study found. They probably did an ultrasound. Let's see what that ultrasound shows, and then I can give you better advice. But I need more information to help you on this one. So if you get that report, if you want to email it to me through my website, drjoeesposito.com, I can talk to you then. How about that?
Okay.
Great, Larry.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Yeah, because sometimes, folks, I know you want quick answers, and I don't have a quick answer. I need a little more information, like in Larry's case. So we want to make sure that we're getting the right information to you as quickly as possible. And again, we say at the top of the show, always check with your doctor. But I want to give you options so that you can hopefully get well and stay well. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr.Joe, 844-4-DRJOE, and that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. Now, for somebody like Larry and everyone else, you want to make sure you're getting good amounts of nutrients into the body so the body can heal. And as we get older, our ability to absorb nutrients drops. It's called aging. And so what I recommend as we get older is you have to pay more attention to your diet. Eat foods that are easily digested, easily broken down, easily absorbed. That's why I created Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. The absolute minimum amount of nutrients you should be taking every day. They're 2 powders. They taste great. Got them sitting here at the studio with me. Ahmad, they taste great. Say yes.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. Ahmad takes them. And they taste great. They're easy to take. I just use coconut milk or almond milk, shake it up in a jar and drink it. And that's the minimum amount of nutrients. Now, on busy days, I take a double dose. If I'm going to do a lot of yard work and then do a radio show, if I got a bunch of lectures booked. I know one of the major medical universities this week came to me, and they said, would I consider teaching postgraduate work to the medical doctors? Not the students, but the doctors. I said, yeah, I would. They said, because we just love your approach to healthcare, and these are things we're not learning in medical school. So that was quite an honor to be offered that position. So we want to get the body well, but that's why I created the Super Greens and the Essential Source. If you're not taking them, go to my website, look at them. I recommend you try it. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Also available on Amazon. And we have a bunch of other supplements, too. We also have a nitric oxide support. And you can take that, and that opens up your blood vessels. And I tell you what, not only does it increase circulation, it also helps me get a lot of energy. So that because the circulation gets up to the brain. So all those supplements, my books, information on the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. If you want to make an appointment to come see us in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Love to have you come in as a patient. Folks, I got to go to a break. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. And again, that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air, 844-44-Dr. Joe. And website, what is it? Say with me, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Hey, tell your friends about the show. I'll be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. I am so happy you're spending a little time with me today. And what we're talking about today is anti-aging. And it's kind of a hot topic, of course. Everybody wants to stay young. And as we said earlier, a lot of anti-aging is passive, not active. You have to not do something. And that's what we're trying to teach you is you have to not do things that speed up the aging process. So we talked about comfort food as a reward. How about food as a crutch? How many say this? I know 70 to 80% of you say this. I can't start my day without a cup of coffee. Coffee is an acid. When acid gets into your body, it's like Pac-Man. It eats away at your connective tissue, like in your skin. And so by drinking coffee, you're eating away at the connective tissue, which is then causing the skin to wrinkle. Coffee is a diuretic, makes you pee, also cleans out your bowels. So you have to go to the bathroom with it. So coffee is not the drink of choice, and coffee has more pesticides than just about any other food on the market today. And, just recently, California now, you have to list, if you're drinking coffee, if the coffee makers have to list that people selling it to you, that it has something in it called acrylamide, which is a known carcinogen, which means it can cause cancer. Acrylamide is the same thing that forms when you fry something very hot. Like French fries in oil. When oil and heat come together, it creates acrylamide. And the coffee beans have oil in them. And so when they're roasted, they create acrylamides, which are known carcinogens. So people think, but Dr. Joe, I can't get my day started without my coffee. I know. I hear it. I know people that drink coffee. And there are things you can do for that, like get more energy. So let's cover that right now, and then we'll take some more callers. The number here is 844-44-Dr. Joe. How can you get energy and get off your coffee? Water. Most of you are dehydrated. You're not drinking enough water. You got to drink more water. You're going to be amazed how much better you feel just by drinking water. How about your adrenal glands being burned out? Coffee, by the way, causes your adrenal glands to burn out, which makes you more tired, which makes you drink more coffee. It's a pretty good gig they got there. So the adrenal glands wear out. Bags under your eyes, fatigue, brain fog. These are all signs of adrenal fatigue. So we have something I created again. I try to create things that make you guys happy. It's called Dr. Joe's Optimum Adrenal Support. And it's herbs that stimulate your adrenal glands. They don't stimulate you to have energy. They stimulate your adrenal glands to produce your own adrenaline. Much better choice as far as I'm concerned. And if you have bags under your eyes, if you're over 30, if you drink a lot of coffee, chances are that you need some adrenal support. We talked about the nitric oxide support. Let me tell you, man, that stuff gives you a burst of energy. Because it increases circulation, it brings oxygen to your brain, oxygen to your muscles. It's funny, a friend of mine, I think it's about a year ago, he's the one nutritionist for the American skating team, the U.S. Skating team. And he says the new thing the past couple of years has been beet juice. People are drinking beet juice like crazy at the Olympic training grounds because the beets have something called nitrates, and nitrates become nitric oxide. Well, you can take a nitric oxide supplement, which is legal. You know, it's not going to affect you if you're an Olympiad. But even things like arugula and lettuces. Arugula has about 10 times the amount of nitrates as beets. And arugula is like a lettuce. So what if we had a beet and arugula salad? What if we had a romantic evening planned and I made a beet and arugula salad and then some nitric oxide? Well, it might be too much then. Nitric oxide support. Things will explode. But, Ahmad, why are you shaking your head, Ahmad? I'm a doctor. I can say these things. I think he's blushing. I'm not sure, but I can't see him through the window, but I think he's blushing here. So, no, we got to get good circulation. And so I just did an interview the other day for a medical school, and they did a podcast with me, and one of the things they wanted to talk about was food and sex. And we did a whole half hour on food-sex connection. Everybody's got questions. Nobody knows who to ask. And that's why it's important you can ask me at 844-44-Dr. Joe, which is our number here. A lot more to talk about when it comes to anti-aging, but I know some of you are on hold, and I don't want you waiting. So, Richard, how can we make your day better? Oh, can you shut the radio off, Richard?
Yep, got it off.
Okay, got it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my story is that about a year ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
They gave me, metformin, AC1 inhibitor, and then, in addition, I lost 30 pounds.
Good.
So because when I had that test, I was at 9.1 or something like that for the sugars.
Woo.
And then when I went back in for the follow-up, after losing 30 pounds, I dropped all the way to 5.
Wow, that's
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you're done. You're off the drugs. Well, I gained the 30 pounds back.
Oh.
And I went back on, but this time I was only up to 7.
Okay.
So now that's where I am. I've already lost another, I don't know, almost 20 now again.
Right.
But I've been hearing you talk about I guess it's greens or something?
Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So just curious how that would affect or not affect
diabetics.
That kind of thing.
Everyone loves it. And again, I'm not here to treat diabetes, but the Super Greens, the Essential Source, are awesome. And what we do is we take fruits and vegetables, juice them, take the water out at a very low temperature, and what's left is a powder. And that powder, you're getting like maybe 4 or 5 servings of fruit per day, per scoop, and about 4 or 5 servings of vegetables, but the sugar comes out as well. So it's a great way for diabetics to get the nutrients from fruit without the sugar. And tons of people over the years have taken this, and they come back in and say, Doc, I went to my medical doctor, and they said, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it because your blood work is so much better than it's ever been. So just keep doing what you're doing. So the answer is absolutely. Super Greens and Essential Source would be great for someone like you.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You get them on the website or at Amazon. Or my offices. Save shipping. All right. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks, we have offices in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. And, people say, well, gosh, can I just pick them up? Absolutely. Come on in and pick them up. We're more than happy to have them for you. And we have all our supplements there. The vitamin K2, vitamin D3 with K2, the nitric oxide, the adrenal support, the probiotics, which are really important because most of us have taken antibiotics at some time in our lives. The enzyme support for digestion, the Essential Source, the Super Greens. So we've got. What I do is I create a supplement because I see what patients need. I see what the demand is, and I know you. You're just like every other patient. I want to make sure you're getting the right supplements and the right food so you can get well. Add chiropractic to that to open up the nerve supply, get the nervous system working. And of course, I have to talk about digestive system. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, many times we need to massage the stomach down away from the diaphragm. Now, somebody came in the other day, came in twice, didn't see any changes, and said, well, I'm not getting any better. Folks, it's going to take more than 2 visits, okay? Nobody's that good. And if you have a problem, it's going to take time to fix it. So we don't do miracles in our office. And I tell my patients, too, if you're serious about wanting to get well, we'd love to have you come in as a patient. But if you're not really ready to make the big changes, even little changes, don't make an appointment. There's a lot of people that want your time slot. And I don't want to give it to somebody who's not serious about wanting to get well. I say that with car accident patients, too. Listen, if you're in a car accident, you hurt yourself. If the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. I've never seen a car accident where the car was damaged and the occupants weren't. But you got to get under treatment and you got to get it fixed because you will have permanent damage like me. I was hit by a car when I was 10 and I have permanent damage now. And I didn't know about chiropractic when I was 10. And boy, I wish I had. If I could change one thing in my life, going back, one thing, those truth or dare questions, I would change that. I would have gotten chiropractic care as a child and got my spine straight right from the start. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr.Joe, my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. My supplements, my books, also available on Amazon, so you can get them either place. If you'd like to make an appointment, drjoeesposito.com, you can do it there, or 844-44-Dr. Joe, and I'm not on the air. Hey, folks, I got to go. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to cover. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Friends, I am so glad that you're here today. Thanks for joining me. We're talking today about anti-aging, things we can do to help slow down the aging process, really life extension. I really guess I shouldn't call it anti-aging. We're all going to age. We want to extend our lives in quality, and it's a lot of fun. And little things you can do, like stand up. When I do radio shows, I stand up. A couple of my colleagues stand up, some sit down, but I think standing up is good. It opens up your diaphragm, helps you breathe better. As a radio personality, we need to breathe, but it also helps get energy going. It keeps your blood flowing, and that's kind of important too. And I see we talked about coffee and how so many people rely on coffee. And I don't get it. I never liked coffee. I used to make the donuts, actually, way back when, in years several lives ago. I used to make the donuts. So I worked in a coffee shop, and I never understood it. My family wasn't coffee drinkers either. My father would drink tea, but not a lot of coffee, so I never quite got it. It tastes nasty. It's acidy, and you got to add sugar and cream, and I don't know if you got to add stuff to it. I'm not sure I really want to do that. So we're talking about things that we do that we can do to slow down the aging process and have an life extension, anti-aging. So if you drink more water, if you, like I said, Dr. Joe's nitric oxide, Dr. Joe's adrenal support, staying away from bad foods, staying away from what I call the 7 deadly sins. They all make you tired. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Now, coffee may give you energy short term, but coffee doesn't really give you energy. What happens is there's a chemical in your brain that's released called adenosine. And adenosine is released and then absorbed in something called an adenosine receptor site. And adenosine receptor sites then make your body relax and make you tired. So when you start getting tired, if you drink coffee, caffeine looks like adenosine. So it blocks up the adenosine receptor sites so you can't absorb adenosine. And so you're really not getting, it does stimulate your nerves somewhat, but it's really not giving you energy. It's just preventing you from getting tired. And then eventually your brain is smarter than you. Your brain says, no, I need to rest. You're beating me silly. I'm going to produce more adenosine receptor sites so I can absorb more adenosine so I can get tired. And then what do? You drink more coffee. And so that's why you started out with 1 cup and then you went to 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 8. Again, it's an acid. It robs your body of calcium. Acid eats away your connective tissue. It's sprayed with a lot of chemicals and pesticides. It's a diuretic. It makes you pee. It dehydrates you. Why you do that? I don't understand it. When there's other choices, too. Let's go back to the callers. We've got a lot to cover. The number here, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Daniel, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Yes, I am 45 years old, and when I eat certain foods,
yes,
especially not organic chicken or turkey,
sure,
I get acne on my chest, and then it shows up on my nose.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't want to use any ointments or, regular medicine because that's not going to solve any problem.
There you go.
So I was wondering, I heard that, just reading on chiropractic and natural stuff, that acne starts in the gut. So
right.
I was just wondering if you have any enzyme or anything for me.
Absolutely. Well, the enzymes, Dr. Joe's enzyme support would be great. Should be great. Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's going to help your digestion because, again, acne starts in the gut and the liver. So whenever somebody has acne problems, I was talking to a teenager the other day, and she said, I got such good skin, but every now and then I get a pimple. I said, watch what you're eating. And you'll see when you eat bad foods, the acne will break out. And oftentimes it's a liver issue, too. The liver just gets clogged up, and especially with teenagers, they're producing all these hormones, and the liver's trying to break down the hormones, and they're putting bad food in there. So the Super Greens, the Essential Source, and the enzyme support would probably be great for you. However, my best advice I can give you, Daniel, is don't eat the foods that you know are going to give you the acne because they're obviously not good for you.
Right.
So stay away from non-organic chicken, or I don't know, maybe stay away from chicken. Just throwing it out there. But try that and see if that works. That should work great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Yeah, folks, again, it's about you taking care of yourself because nobody can get you well except you. I can coach you. You can become a patient of ours, and my team of doctors can do chiropractic adjustments on you, and we can work pulling your stomach away from the diaphragm, and we can put together dietary plans, but you're the one that has to do it. So I tell people when you come in, we're going to put together a treatment plan for you, and that treatment plan is going to consist of not just getting you out of pain, but actually stabilizing a lot of your healthcare problems. Because after a few visits, patients many times say they're starting to feel better, and they go, I feel better. I'm not sure I need to come back there anymore. That's not why I want you as a patient. I want you as a patient because you want to get well. I'm assuming every patient that comes in my office wants to get well. Now, if you come in and have different plans, tell me, and we'll treat you differently. But my approach is always, how can I get this person to get well and stay well? And so we're talking today about life extension, things that we can do to keep ourselves healthy. How about food as punishment? Anybody ever use food as punishment? I bet you do. I'm too fat. I'm not going to eat today. I've been terrible. I shouldn't do this. What you need to do is just develop a lifestyle. That's what we're talking about here, lifestyle. And like one of the callers called a while ago, and he says he lost 30 pounds, then he gained 30 pounds. Then he lost 20 pounds. That's not a lifestyle. A lifestyle is get to where you want to be and stay there. And if you're doing the things to lose weight, if you're doing the things to get healthy, just keep doing them. You don't have to keep changing it up. You don't have to, all right, lost 20 pounds. I'm going to go out and celebrate. Woo! No. Well, you can celebrate, but don't celebrate with cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. Maybe you celebrate by going on a vacation. Maybe you celebrate by taking a half a day off from work. Maybe you celebrate by volunteering, helping somebody else out. That's a cool way to celebrate. But celebrating with food is not really a good idea, because what the food does, a lot of the things in the 7 deadly sins, will stimulate the dopamine receptor sites, the nucleus accumbens in your brain, and you get high. And if you're like me, as soon as you start stimulating those dopamine receptor sites, you want more. So food can do it, quick, easy, and cheap. Falling in love will do it. When you fall in love with somebody, you're all goo-goo gaga stupid over them. That lasts for about 6 months. The dopamine receptor sites are firing off, and you're just crazy in love. You're in that dopamine stage. And then after about 6 months, if it's a healthy relationship, you shift into something called the oxytocin stage. Oxytocin is a bonding neurotransmitter. It's a neurotransmitter that's released when women breastfeed, bonds them to their children. So oxytocin is then the bonding neurotransmitter, and the relationship shifts from that crazy, stupid dopamine stage into a healthy, normal oxytocin stage. There are some people that don't do well when they're not in a dopamine stage, and those we call serial monogamists. They go from one relationship, oh my God, he's wonderful, she's great, I'm so crazy about her, this is the one, finally I found the one in my life. 6 months later, oh my God, they're so annoying. Next. They're like a barbershop. Next. And those are serial monogamists, and that happens many times because the dopamine receptor sites are not firing off. And one of the things I find with people that don't have the neurotransmitter production that's working normally is they're not digesting their food. If you have acid reflux or heartburn, you're not breaking your proteins into amino acids, and the amino acids become neurotransmitters. So fixing the gut many times helps fix the brain. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr.Joe. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, my other supplements, the nitric oxide, the enzymes, the vitamin D, all of those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, or you can order them on Amazon, or you can pick them up. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. You can do that too. Hey, folks, got to go to break. 844-44-Dr.Joe. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. I am so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for spending time with me. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, and today we're talking about life extension. What can we do to add quality and quantity to our lives? I think that's kind of how the game is played, isn't it? Whoever lives the longest wins. Like Keith Richards, I think, is going to win everything then, because he's outlived everybody. I want to know his secret, man. Wow. He must listen to this show. I think Keith is probably a big fan of this show. Yeah. So a couple of things we covered a while ago. Now, if you missed it, by the way, and then we archive every one of our shows, because so many times I'll get a call. In fact, it happens almost every day. Dr. Joe, I caught half of your show, all right? I just tuned in. I was in my car, and I couldn't finish listening to it. And you was talking about blank. Now, all the shows are archived on my podcast, drjoeesposito.com. You can search for The Health of It on Stitcher and Google and iTunes, and that's our podcast there as well. We have a different podcast than this show. It's a little different. Same topics, but a little different. But these shows are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world, and you can listen to them. I videotape my live lectures, too. Oh, by the way, got a couple of live lectures coming up, too. Check my website, and I want you to come out to the live lectures because they're a lot of fun. Because I can show you things at the live lectures I can't show you on the radio, because so much of healthcare is physical, and I have to show you different things. And that's why I videotape those lectures and do it. And also, I want you to sign up for my newsletter. It's on the website. First page of the website, because I send out a lot of good information on my newsletter. Never going to give out your email address. Don't worry, we don't share your information. But like a couple of weeks ago, we had a big event coming up that came and went, and there were tickets. And people had to buy tickets, but my listeners, because they were members of the newsletter, got an opportunity to get free tickets. So we like to give out things on the website, too, little prizes and stuff, so on the newsletter. So sign up for the newsletter, too. You can follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. Love to have you do that as well, because we do send out information there. But the newsletter is the end-all, be-all. But do the other ones, too. If you're a Facebook or Instagram person, that's great. So talking today about adding quality to your life extension. And how about food as a fuel depression? When I'm feeling sad or depressed, eating blank makes me feel better about myself. Well, I just don't feel good, so I'm going to have ice cream. I deserve it. Well, that's really the worst time you should do something like that, because the body is in a compromised emotional state. There's mental stress, chemical stress, and emotional, mental, physical, and chemical stress. And if you're having mental or emotional stress, and then you add chemical stress on top of it, and then you do have pinched nerves or muscle spasms or digestive problems, it's going to make the problem substantially worse. So that's the time you really want to hunker down. You know what? I'm feeling bad about myself. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm feeling bad about myself. I'm going to, take a double dose of Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. In fact, we just had somebody on the line. They just hung up about kidney stones. So what do you do about things like that? Well, I answer the question now because they're there, and it is part of getting older. Kidney stones are an issue. And folks, if you're on hold, please hold on. I'm going to get to you. I promise you. I'll get to you. Kidney stones many times are formed by an acid diet. You're eating things like alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. And when you put acid in your body has to neutralize that acid, and the body uses calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. So your body is sucking calcium out of the blood, out of the bones to neutralize the acid. Now you've got this component that's acid and calcium, and what does the body have to do with it? It has to get rid of it. So the body will pass it through the kidneys, through the liver, into the gallbladder, and into the bowels. It's got to get out of the system. And if you get this buildup of acid in your kidneys, it can become a problem. Big acid and calcium in your kidneys, it's called kidney stones. Now, some people have a tendency to form more stones than others. So the key in something like that, I find, is to alkalize your system. And the best alkalizing foods are going to be vegetables, very alkalizing, fruits somewhat. Celery, spinach, and figs are going to be the top 3 alkalizing foods. But Dr. Joe's Super Greens contain wheatgrass, barley grass, and alfalfa grass, which are loaded with minerals that help alkalize the system as well. So the Super Greens is very good at alkalizing the system. The Essential Source is like your multivitamin for the day. But I take both. And it's one of the reasons people usually tell me I look about 15 years younger than I am. And I like that. And it keeps a youthful way about, because it keeps you healthy. Then you have youthful energy too. And then if you're eating the right foods, you stay thin. And by staying thin, and calorie restriction is a great way to add life extension. Now, calorie restriction to a point. You don't want to eat 100 calories a day. You'll die. But cutting out the bad foods, those high caloric foods, are the things that really speed up the aging process. So eating more raw foods, and that's something you really want to consider doing, folks. Eating something raw at every meal. Now, when I say raw, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, at least have one salad meal a day. And I said, some people, well, I don't know what to do. Anyway, I go to lunch meetings. Well, then have salad for breakfast. Does it sound weird? Yeah. Is it weird? Yeah. Does it work? Yeah. And a little trick you can do, double bonus points for my listeners, is use some apple cider vinegar as part of your salad dressing. Raw organic apple cider vinegar, loaded with minerals, which is really important to slow down the aging process for life extension. It alkalizes your system. The other vinegars stay acidic. After you absorb them, they stay acidic and they need to be neutralized. Apple cider vinegar actually turns to an alkaline ash. Now, what's an ash? Ash is what's left over when things are done being metabolized. So, for example, you burn wood, there's an ash left. It's what's left. So when you metabolize something, what's left is an ash. And you want to have an alkaline ash, not an acid ash. And the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener will leave you an acid ash. Apple cider vinegar, not so much. So maybe use some organic olive oil and some apple cider vinegar, maybe a little air-dried sea salt, some pepper, maybe some turmeric if you want to get crazy, nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast loaded with B vitamins, loaded with amino acids. Tastes great. Oh my gosh, I love it. Use it just about every day. And now you've got a really hearty salad. And if it's not enough to fill you up, this is what's going to happen. When you start eating less, you're going to need less, but it's going to take a transition period. Maybe add some chickpeas to that salad. Maybe some black beans or some red beans. Maybe some sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. These are going to give you a lot of good nutrients, make you feel full. Throw an avocado in there. Woohoo! Now you're getting crazy. Throw an avocado in there. Great sources of good fats, and that really makes you feel full. Avocados are a great thing to add to your diet. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr.Joe. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Sign up for my newsletter on my website. It's absolutely free. Never give out your information. Send out a ton of good information. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We want to help you get well and stay well. We want to be your doctors if we can. And if you want to order the supplements, my books, other products, those are on my website, also available on Amazon too. Or come by our offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area, and you can pick them up. Hey, got to go to break. Tell your friends about the show. I'll be right back. Tell your friends about Hey, folks, thanks for being here. I do appreciate you spending a little time with me. I am Dr. Joe. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you're staying with us, thanks for staying with us. I do appreciate that. And we're talking today about life extension, things that you can do to extend the quality and the quantity of your life. So a couple of rules I want you to start implementing right away. Well, number one, I got to start with this one too. Be careful with foods and your children. This is really important. You set an example for your children. When you eat, what you eat, when you eat, and how you respond to what you eat influences your children. So be careful with that. Positive or negative, your actions speak louder than your words. So what's happening is we become our parents. You will become your parents. I became my parents. And so we will become our parents. And so whatever you're doing, and you swore you wouldn't do it, right? Come on, don't lie to me. I'm not going to be like them. I'm going to be different. I'm going to raise my children differently. Well, you learn. I remember years ago talking to a therapist, and they said, one of our patients, and they said, if for men, if you have a daughter, you're her first boyfriend. So the way you treat her is going to be how she wants to be treated by men forever, and not just men she dates, but men she works with, men she associates with. And so you need to set an example, gentlemen, on how a woman needs to be treated. Well, that goes for food, too. It goes for if you keep a clean house. That goes if you lose your temper. Because kids think, well, this is the only thing I know. This is the only life I know. So be careful with food and kids. I'm very, very cautious to give food as a reward. Because then people will associate that with, I did something good. Back to earlier in the show, we talked about that. I now can go and do blank. I can buy myself an ice cream sundae as a treat. Well, then that kind of negates all the good that you just did. Well, I just worked out, so it's okay if I have 2 hamburgers and french fries. No, you just worked out, so don't have the hamburgers and french fries. So be careful around kids. Other things, learn new ways to redirect your old habits because we all get stuck in a rut, right? Elvis said, I'm caught in a trap. And that's what it is. You're caught in your own trap. Get rid of the foods you need to stop eating now. Not tomorrow. I love this one. Well, as soon as I finish what I have at home, I'm going to start eating good foods. Oh, my gosh. Think about how silly that sounds. You want to get well in 6 weeks? You want to get well in a month? Or you want you want to get well now, right? Yes. So get the bad food out of the house. And the reason is, if you're like me, if the bad food's in the house, chances are you're going to eat it. Because I tell this story many times. If you're a new listener, if you're an old listener, bear with me. Several years ago, an elderly patient of mine made me these wonderful-looking chocolate chip cookies. And 2 stories. Number one, this is one chocolate chip story cookie, and she said, these are for you. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Your team of doctors are amazing. Thank you so much. And I said, what's in them? And she goes, flour and eggs and butter. And I said, I'm a vegan, and I can't eat the butter. And her heart sunk. So show gratitude. I should have said, thank you, these are wonderful, and then thrown them away. She doesn't need to know what happened after I said thank you. The other thing was somebody did make me vegan chocolate chip cookies one time, and they were spectacular. And I had them in my pantry, and I remember sitting in my keeping room watching TV, and I could have sworn they were talking to me. Joey, I'm here. Anybody else have that aside from me? Yeah, it happens. Because we want to stimulate those dopamine receptor sites in our brain, and chocolate chip cookies are a great way to do that. So what I did is I took them and I threw them outside. I went on my back porch and threw them out into this little stream in my backyard so that I wouldn't eat them. Because when I was young, I was fat. When I was a kid, I was a fat kid. And so I was raised, here's cookies because you're good. You know, my mother's favorite thing was if the oven is on anyway, if we're making chicken or whatever, we might as well bake a cake too because we don't want to waste that heat. Well, we wasted the heat, but we didn't waste the heat. We destroyed our livers and our kidneys and our brains. But that was way before things like high fructose corn syrup was so popular, and chemicals and steroids and hormones and antibiotics and dyes. A lot of red foods, I don't know if you know this, a lot of red foods, they're made with red dyes that are made from beetle shells. There's a beetle that lives, I think it's in Thailand or somewhere in Indonesia. They grind up the beetle shells and they add it as a red food coloring. And that's a big issue because if you're a vegan or if you don't want to eat bugs, you don't know that. So a lot of the candies that you eat, anything that's really bright red, chances are it has this beetle shell as part of the coloring. But again, back then we didn't have all those chemicals, and we also had a lot more activity. What do? We come home from school. If you did your homework, you went out and played. You met your friends. You went out and played. Came home at dinner. We went out afterwards, too. I remember my father yelling at me, stay home one night. I said, why? I want to go out with my friends. So we were constantly on the move. A lot less bad food, a lot less food, and we were constantly on the move. This is a new world. Since the 80s, the world has changed, and you need to consider taking better care of yourself if your goal is to have good life, add life extension to part of your protocol. If it's not, that's okay too. It's your call. And we'll have, survival of the fittest. So get the bad food out of the house. Here's another one. We've all done this. Shopping when you're hungry. Anybody ever do that? Aside from me? You shop when you're hungry. You think, and you negotiate in your head. And then you buy all the junk food. You bring it home. Then we go into step number 1, having the bad food in the house. And you can't stop eating it. So don't shop when you're hungry. Don't even eat dinner or eat a meal when you're hungry. It's best to ruin your appetite. Because remember, it takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. And if you're eating for 20 minutes, you'll feel full. If you eat a snack, wait 20 minutes, you're going to eat a lot less food. So another trick we can do to add, go into caloric restriction, cut back on our calories, save money, and eat better foods, make better choices, is don't go to the table hungry. Don't go shopping hungry. Another rule, read the ingredients. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. It's a very simple rule. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it, because most of the bad foods you can't pronounce. Now, there's a couple of things, like methylcobalamin, you might not be able to pronounce, and that's vitamin B12, which is good for you. But as a general rule, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Clean out your refrigerator. Now, I have a bad habit. When I have a rainy Sunday and I have some time to myself, I cook. I love cooking. And I'll prepare all these wonderful foods. If you don't know what to eat, by the way, my first book, Prescription for Eating Right for the Health of It, is a great guide on what to eat. It has recipes in it. Really good guide. So that's a great book. My second book, Prescription for Extreme Health, is just spectacular. You'll love it. It's written in little segments, so even those with ADD can read it a little bit at a time. And it has a lot of great information on how to get well, the nervous system, the digestive system, diet. We have a whole chapter just for athletes I put in there as a special chapter. And those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. I do find when I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, I don't eat as much. And that's what I have for breakfast every day. I used to have a piece of fruit, maybe a little bit of oatmeal, Super Greens and Essential Source, and I'm usually good until 10, 11 o'clock, and then around there, maybe a couple of handfuls of nuts, and then lunch, unless I have a meeting, is usually a salad. So there's your breakfast and lunch laid out for you, folks. All that food might cost you $4, $5. How cheap is that? So you got breakfast and lunch done for $5. Let's say $6. Let's get crazy. And then dinner, I'm a little more flexible. I may go out to dinner with my friends. If I'm not, I'll go home and eat the food I prepared. But I know what I was going with is the refrigerator. Is I pack my freezer full of these foods, and then I forget they're there. So I got to clean out my freezer and I go, it's good food. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, you're going to open up the phone lines again, 844-44-Dr.Joe. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, Enzyme Support, Nitric Oxide, all my supplements, my books, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. Also available on Amazon. So if you have an Amazon account, you can do it there. But the number here, 844-44-Dr.Joe. Give us a call if you have any questions. We'll be right back. I am so glad that you're here. This is Dr. Joe here, and we're talking today about life extension, things that you can do to add quality and quantity to your life. We gave you a lot of tips. Again, if you miss anything in the show, we give you a lot of information. And people always say that, even in radio business, how do you get that much information in just the short time you're on the air? I got a lot to cover. So if I talk too fast or if you miss something, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. Thousands of hours of archive radio shows there. If you're a podcasting type of folk, you can go, it's For the Health of It, name of my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It. But For the Health of It is the name of the podcast. You can get it on Stitcher and iTunes and Google Play, and just make it part of your day. Make this part of what you do, because we want to get you well and keep you well, and the only way we learn is through repetition. And I want you to listen to it over and over and over again so that you can finally learn these things so you can get well and stay well. So we're talking about breaking old habits, and if you're on hold, keep holding, folks. I'm going to get to you. Number is 844-44-Dr.Joe if you have a question. But I do got to cover the things I need to cover here. Become knowledgeable, as we were just talking about eating and exercise, and that's why you want to listen to this show. And I videotape my live lectures. I do live lectures. Now, sometimes corporations hire me. That happens a lot. And we don't usually make those public unless I get permission from the corporation. dance with the one you came with. Who's ever writing your paycheck, you follow them. But other than that, if it's a public lecture, I'll record it and I'll put it on the website so you can watch a lot of the lectures. Some people are visual learners. And so our videos are very, very popular all around the world. So you can watch them, you could listen, whatever you want. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. That's why I created Super Greens and Essential Source, to make it so easy to get all your nutrients in one place in a powder. And the reason I don't put them in a pill, somebody asked me that the other day, is you don't get as much in a pill. And if I put it in a pill, it's another step, it's another cost. I try to keep the cost as low as possible for you. So the powder is great. Just mix it with coconut milk, almond milk. Some people put it in water. I personally, it's okay, but it's not my favorite. But just shake it up and drink it. It takes seconds to do. And it's amazing the results that happen. And I said, on a busy day, I'll take a double dose. So those are on the website, drjoeesposito.com, also available on Amazon. But that's why I created them, to make it as easy and as inexpensive as possible. For just over $1 a day, you're getting a complete multivitamin, just about somewhere around 5 to 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables. I don't know how I can make it easier for you, folks. I really don't, unless I came to your house and spoon-fed it to you. So key here is becoming knowledgeable about health, and that's why we have the podcasts. Be open to trying new foods or adding new nutritional sources to your current nutritional plan. When I go into a health food store, my hangouts, I look for something I've never had before. And if I see it, I'll get it. Most of the time I'm happy. Sometimes I'm not. But it's funny, I have people say that about anything. Well, Dr. Joe, I tried taking supplements one time, and I didn't feel good, so I didn't do it. And I say, now, did you ever date anybody else aside from your spouse or your significant other? Yeah. Well, did it work out? No. Well, did you give up on dating? You went to a restaurant, it was bad food. Did you give up on eating? You had a rough night's sleep? You see where I'm going with this. I've had patients come in and say, I went to a chiropractor one visit and I didn't get better. Chiropractic is not a one-shot deal. No health care is a one-shot deal. Let me put it that way. Sometimes it takes time to change things that are broken or damaged. And so it takes a little bit of time there, so don't jump ship right away just because you had one bad experience. So stick with it. I think you'll be very happy with that. So try new foods. Try something you never had before. I personally love Ethiopian food. If you never had Ethiopian food, they have great vegan choices at Ethiopian restaurants. The food is spectacular. If you've never had it, try it. If you don't like it, guess what? You've done stupider things in your life. But try new things. Try adventures. I think you'll be really, really happy with a lot of things that you find. Some things you won't be, but that's okay. Start taking callers again. Judy, how can we make your day better?
Young man in our family, 22 years old. He definitely wants to eat healthy, and he's probably paleo/vegan/ no dairy, no gluten. And he started out at 135 pounds. He's down to 118.
Ooh, okay.
He's desperate to gain weight. How do you gain weight on your diet?
Second question I get. How do I lose weight? Second one is how do I gain weight? It's not uncommon. All right, so for him, or I say have an avocado with your salad, he should have 2 avocados with his salad, or 3.
I bought him 4 today.
Perfect. Yeah. See, Judy, good girl. Also, nuts and seeds are very good for that, helping gain weight.
Okay.
So I would start adding a lot more nuts and seeds and avocados to his diet, and I think that should help tremendously with him.
Okay. I'm going to volunteer. He already eats the avocados like they're going out of style. So.
Perfect. Okay. Now, does he have any digestive problems? Acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating?
Not specifically, no. Okay. He has probably absorption problem, if anything.
That's where I was going with this, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if he's eating enough food, he should, be where he should be. But if he's not, then we got to start looking at, is there a problem?
Yeah.
Does he have leaky gut syndrome? Does he have acid reflux or heartburn? And also, if he's tired a lot, you might want to get him checked, get him scanned, because you want to make sure it's not a disease process going on.
He's been with a nutritionist type person. He was a 1 pound, 11 ounce baby.
Oh my, okay. Wow.
Yeah, right, 25 weeker. And so like I said, digestion, absorption, but he doesn't have a disease, no.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Check with him, see if he has a lot of acid reflux or heartburn or burping or, irritation of his throat. It could be the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm. I've had a lot of patients like that, and that helps the absorption. Yeah. And the super greens. Off the
top of my head, I'm going to tell you, no, that's not the problem either. It's just trying to gain some of this weight back now. And he will not eat the way he did before. So we're between a rock and a hard place.
That's good. Okay, you could try
avocados and nuts and seeds and etc.
And you could try Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes. That might help. I mean, he's awfully young to have an enzyme issue, but you can certainly try that and see if that helps to break down the food more efficiently. So let's try that. If it doesn't work, give me a call back in about 6 weeks, and then we can dig a little deeper.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Judy. I appreciate it. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44 Dr. Joe. Karen, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. I have a question for you as far as I've been using colostrum for a lot of years, and my sister-in-law, who's a doctor, she's just nervous about giving it to her kids. Do you know of any problem with?
I'm not a fan of any dairy products, personally, because the colostrum in human milk is different than the colostrum in cow's milk. So you're asking somebody who's really anti-dairy, so I really can't give a positive plug on that. I know you like it, but I'm not a big fan of it because it is a dairy. If you're going to do it, make sure it's organic.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so if it's not organic, the cows may be being fed steroids, hormones, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified foods, and then we got a toxic component there.
Sure.
But, so unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of colostrum there, so.
It has changed my life for like 20 years. Somebody online had told her that it caused cancer, and I'm like, wow.
No, I've never heard that. So I'm not going to,
stopped asthma and boosted my immune, cleared my skin and my joints. Reduces inflammation. But I mean, it's always organic, pasture fed.
Perfect. All right. If you're doing that, okay.
But yeah, I forgot about you and the dairy thing.
Yeah, I'm not the guy to ask dairy questions too. Bummer. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much again for what you do. Love you.
Love you too, Karen. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. See, folks, we can agree to disagree. That's okay. If Karen's happy with her colostrum, I want to support that. And it's interesting because I don't ever pick on people for what they do. You know, people say, oh, my gosh, I remember years ago I had a blind date and she didn't want to go out with me again because I was a vegan. And I'm like, I don't care what you do. You shouldn't care what I do. It's all about me giving you information. What you do with that information is up to you. Folks, if, the number 84444 Dr. Joe rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, Enzyme Support, Probiotics, the Nitric Oxide, all that in my books, everything's on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Or on Amazon, too. Or if you want to stop by our offices and pick them up, offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, or just pick up the products, you can get all that on the website. Got to go to a break. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Tell your friends about the show. Thanks for being here, folks, and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, welcome. Glad you could be here. This is our last segment of the show today, but we got plenty more in the future. Don't worry. But if you just tuned in and you want to find out what you missed, because you missed an awesome show, it's on the website, drjoeesposito.com, or Google Dr. Joe. We got a podcast, too, which is a little different than the shows here. Those are on, it's for the health of it. It's on, Stitcher and iTunes and Google Play or whatever it is, so the podcast places. But you can get that there. But I put all my shows as podcasts on my website, drjoeesposito.com, along with videos of my live lectures, which are kind of fun. A lot more to cover, but you folks seem to want to get me on the line here, so let's start taking some callers. William, how can we make your day better?
Yes, Dr. Joe, you covered how to detect Candida.
Yes.
And it showed positive. So can that be treated naturally, or do we need antibiotics or what?
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah, because there are some medications we can give people with serious Candida infections, but the problem is those medications have a big warning on them about liver problems and cause a lot of liver damage. So with Candida, in case you're just tuning in, you don't know what William's talking about, is tomorrow morning when you wake up, put a glass of clear water next to your bed tonight. When you wake up tomorrow, get a big mouthful of spit into the glass, and wait up to an hour. And if you start seeing little tentacles start coming down like a jellyfish, that could be a sign of systemic yeast infection. You could also do stool samples and other ways, but that's a whole cheap way to do it. So what you got to do is you got to cut out all sugar. Candida loves sugar. Candida is a yeast, and it loves sugar. So breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, white rices, you got to cut them out. Second thing you could do is take Dr. Joe's Immune Booster. We have something, Dr. Joe's, we just changed the name of it, Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. And that can help stimulate the white blood cells. Because the problem with Candida is it has something on it called a biofilm. And the biofilm, it kind of acts as camouflage against your immune system. So your immune system can't detect it. Another thing we want to do with that is we want to take enzyme supplements between meals. If you take an enzyme supplement with meals, it digests the food. If you take it on an empty stomach, like Dr. Joe's enzyme support, it can get into the blood system, and then it can start to help detect the Candida and help wipe it out. And it's going to be a process. It can take a long time to get rid of Candida. And then depending how bad it is, we have a whole protocol. If you call my office, we can put you on a Candida protocol with a lot more supplements as well to try to knock this thing out. But it's really important you knock it out because Candida really ages you and ultimately could be detrimental to your health and your life. So you really want to get rid of Candida if you have it.
So it's antibiotics or a slow process.
Yeah, it's just the antibiotics. Again, they give you a drug. I think it's called diflucan, which would help, which can wipe it out, but it can also cause a lot of liver damage. So I'd prefer the slow, steady way if I had a choice.
Gotcha. And I'll call your office and.
Yeah, call the office at that number, 844-44-Dr.Joe. You can call, when we're open during business hours, and we can just ask for the protocol we use for yeast Candida, and we can get that to you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. And why do labels for vitamins, minerals, etc., say with meals or without meals, and is that a general genetic type of
some things are absorbed better on an empty stomach, and some things absorb better with food. Most things doing with food is fine. With my supplements, you can take them with or without food. It doesn't matter. But the enzymes specifically, you want to do on an empty stomach if you want to get in there and fight the Candida.
Gotcha.
All right, William. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. So, yeah, because, again, I can give you quick answers on the show here, of course. But, again, this is not to substitute for a whole workup with your physician. It's really important to know that. And that's why when patients come in our offices, we become your doctors, then we sit down and do a whole workup with you and find out exactly what you need. But generally speaking, minimum would be Super Greens an essential source. Now, if you're on vitamin K, somebody called up, they're on blood thinners. The Super Greens, the essential source, have a lot of vitamin K in them. So vitamin K helps clot your blood, help it clot. And so now we got a pickle. So what I tell people with that is tell your doctor that you're going to be taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's essential source. 95% of patients that do that, the doctors are like, oh, it's Dr. Joe's products. They're fine. We'll just monitor your blood and see if we have to change anything. And in many cases, they actually cut back on their blood thinners because the blood becomes naturally thin. Now, the vitamin K, granted, will help it clot, but when you get on a good diet, the blood flows much easier through your body, which is all part of life extension, takes the stress off the heart. And when I donate blood, and I donate blood every chance I can, my blood comes out about 50% the time, half the time, of somebody. I remember one time a heavyset woman was next to me, and my blood bag filled up in half the time. My blood is thinner, my blood is healthier, and it's a much brighter color than the other bags of blood I see at the blood banks. That's called normal, not average, normal. And normal is where you want to be. And so as long as you tell your doctor you're taking the Super Greens, the essential source, and you're going to monitor your blood work, they can monitor your levels and then see if we need to alter your medication. My thought is alter your medication based on getting healthy, not the other way around. Well, I don't want you doing that because you're on this medication. Well, let's see if there's a way we can do both. And many times, the healthy lifestyle wins out, which is kind of cool. And we say there's 3 things you have to have for a healthy lifestyle: a normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. That's the core that you can implement. Because we don't know what the future of healthcare is, folks, and I'm telling you, it doesn't look good. Doctors are dropping out of practice left and right. Everybody's trying to get this specialty, this new latest, greatest thing. I go back to basics. My doctors go back to basics. Normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. With that good nutrition, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you need circulation issues, nitric oxide support, probiotics, if you've taken antibiotics in your life, or if you have digestive issues, the probiotics seem to work real well. Adrenal support for folks that are tired all the time. If you drink a lot of coffee, if you have bags under your eyes, that's kind of important too. B-complex. I didn't even talk about B-complexes today, but most people are deficient in B-complexes. So I've created supplements that most people need on a regular basis. And I try to keep the prices low so that you can get really quality products so that you can take them. And once people start taking supplements, and once they change their diet, and once they get chiropractic care and they get their stomach pulled down away from their diaphragm, the biggest complaint I get, and this across the board, they say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer so long and not get well? So, folks, if you want to order the supplements, website, drjoeesposito.com. If you have questions, send them to me through the website. Amazon, also available on Amazon. If you want to make an appointment in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Love to have you come in as a patient. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. We work around what you have. And again, with a car accident, I've never seen a car accident where the car was damaged where the occupants weren't, ever. So if you're in a car accident, come get it checked. Folks, DrJoeEsposito.com. Got to run. Tell your friends about the show. Talk to you soon. Tell your friends about the show.